And then we're going to head down in along here, I think, is the plan. We're going to see if we can find some salamanders and maybe a spotted turtle. Yeah.
He's a lot of fun to be with when he goes out into the field. When we go on walks, there's a bit of a gleam in his eye. He can't resist logs or stones. He doesn't give up, he's very tenacious.
There we go. If you turn over a few more, we'll find some with a red stripe down the back.
As a high-level researcher with the IUCN for over 12 years, Simon Stuart's innate interest in the natural world led him to develop one of the most important studies in the history of conservation. It is called the Global Amphibian Assessment, and it is the first ever comprehensive count of the conservation status of nearly 6,000 amphibian species.
Simon had just a very, very deep desire to do this for amphibians. It was a big information gap, and he said, I'm going to do that. And he stepped back from an incredibly high-powered position to go deeply back into his heartland. And I think Simon was absolutely the driving force behind the Global Amphibian Assessment. He brought it in. He's still delivering on it.
But that information has set off an alarm. What Stuart and his team have found is that of the nearly 6,000 amphibian species studied, nearly 2,000 are threatened with extinction, many critically, and over 120 are fully extinct. These species are now a part of the IUCN's Red List, which creates awareness of the world's biodiversity loss.
Simon has proven that by measuring in a way that has never been dreamt of before what's happening to amphibians, lays the ground for similar activities for all other aspects of life. The findings of the Global Amphibian Assessment really give us an early warning, the classic canary in the coal mine, about the state of biodiversity worldwide.
Some of the most beautiful species are the ones that are disappearing. So we're trying to get the word out there by making the data available for the communicators to deal with. And so I guess my mission is that no one can again say, oh, I didn't know.
And I think a very important thing about Simon in the Global Amphibian Assessment is he's been able to show us where there's great threat of extinction and also where there's great potential of conservation success. So while we're telling a very bad story, we have to tell a very good story.
The success of the Global Amphibian Assessment has led to the start of several other assessment initiatives on a variety of species. The credit for the success of these programs is due to the planning, diligence, and support of Simon Stuart.
Simon's got the passion. He is driven like hardly anybody I've ever seen. He's driven on things that are not charismatic, on things that are difficult to explain to the world. Those of us that work on African elephants don't have much of a challenge compared to explaining to somebody what the importance of a salamander is.
So that would have hatched from an egg probably 6 to 9 months ago.
So I think Simon's a unique guy.
So many people in conservation, they see everything as doom and gloom, and sometimes I say to him, you know, how can you carry on doing this when most of the news is bad news? And I think what he actually rejoices in the triumphs that there are. He wants to give hope.
I see all the other creatures and all the other plants here as part of God's creation. So I see therefore that humankind has a moral responsibility to look after the other creatures on the planet that by and large we've neglected. I see environment as a moral issue. I see that as a calling that I have.